Welcome to Happy, Healthy, Whole, and Rich, where faith meets action and transformation is non negotiable. I'm Tina Brinkley Potts, and I believe now is the time to step boldly into your power, walk in divine wisdom, and claim the life you were meant to live. Each episode, I'll bring you real, unfiltered truth because this world needs leaders who refuse to shrink. Let's get it. Welcome back to Happy, Healthy, Whole, and Rich. I'm Tina Brinkley Potts, and I know who I play for. We're continuing our Standing in Your Power series, and today I want to talk about something that is going to require you to be honest with yourself. Because most of us, if we're telling the truth, have handed our power away to someone, to something, to a number in a bank account, or an opinion in someone else's head. And we've done it so quietly, so gradually, that we barely noticed it happening. Today's episode is built around a declaration I make over my own life. One I want to offer to you. No person, place, nor thing shall have power or dominion over me. Let's talk about what that actually means and what it costs you when it isn't true. Romans 8:31. If God is for us, who can be against us? Now read that as a question about dominion. If the source of all power is already aligned with you, then what exactly are you giving your power to? Not the opinion of the person in the meeting who doesn't think you belong there. Not the bank balance that hasn't caught up to your vision yet. Not the room full of people who look nothing like you. Not the voice in your own head that keeps rehearsing what someone else said about you 3 years ago. Who can be against us? Paul isn't asking that question because nothing will ever try to be against you. He's asking it because he wants you to measure the opposition against the source of your backing and to recognize that there's no comparison. The problem isn't that things come against us. The problem is that we forget what we're backed by, and we start negotiating our power with things that were never qualified to have it. That's what today's about. Reclaiming what you never should have handed over. I grew up with a mother who struggled with alcoholism and drugs. I've talked about her in this series already, because her presence in my life shaped me in ways I'm still unwrapping. But here's what I want to say today that I don't say lightly. My mother's alcoholism was the biggest gift of my life. I know that might sound strange, maybe even painful to hear if you had a similar experience, but stay with me. Because what I lived through as a child and as a teenager, I had to release people's opinions early. I didn't have the luxury of building my identity around what other people thought of me. Our home life was unpredictable. There was chaos. There was pain. There was embarrassment I carried quietly for years. And when you grow up navigating that, one of two things happens. Either you spend the rest of your life desperately seeking the approval you didn't get, or you get to a place where you recognize that other people's opinions were never load-bearing walls to begin with. I got to the second place. Not immediately, not without work, but I got there. And because of it, I've walked into rooms my entire adult life where I was the only one, the only Black woman, the only woman, the only person who looked like me or came from where I came from. And I want to be clear, this still happens in 2026. People think it doesn't, but it does. But I am not walking into those rooms worried about what anyone thinks of me. I'm walking in knowing what I carry. And no person in that room gets to assign me a value I haven't already assigned myself. That is the gift my mother gave me. She just didn't know she was giving it to me. Let me tell you about Atlanta. I went to stay with a celebrity, someone well known, well resourced, living a very visible life, to help her with her business. I was there for 7 months. And I want to tell you how I showed up. I didn't pack my dress clothes. I went down there with my house glasses, the ones I sit around the house in, my sweatpants, t-shirts, hardly any makeup, not trying to be in the spotlight, not trying to fit into a world that wasn't mine. Now you have to understand the environment I walked into. That world, the celebrity world, is one where image is everything. People are dressed to the hilt, hair done, nails done, eyelashes as long as my goodness. Presentation at all times. Appearance is armor and currency and identity all at once. And she kept wanting to dress me, kept wanting to pull me into that world aesthetically. And I just didn't take it on. Not because there's anything wrong with how those people show up, but because I already knew who I was. And I wasn't going to put on a costume to prove it in a room full of people I wasn't trying to impress. Here's what I observed in that world. So many people dressed beautifully, and they were emotionally bankrupt. The exterior was immaculate. The interior was chaotic. Because when your power lives in how you look, you have to keep performing it every day, for every room, for every camera, for every person whose opinion feels like it matters. That is exhausting. And it's a cage dressed as glamour. I stood in my full power without a mask, in my house glasses, in my sweatpants, doing the work I came to do. And that is what no person, place, nor thing shall have power over me looks like in real life. It doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like knowing so clearly who you are that you don't need to perform it for anyone. If God is for us, who can be against us? I want to add something to that today, because I think we sometimes hear that verse and apply it to the big dramatic moments, the battles, the enemies, the obvious opposition. But what about the quiet ways we hand our power away? To the number on the scale, to the balance in the account, to the like count on a post, to the way someone looks at us in a meeting, to the table we weren't invited into. Those are the places where who can be against us needs to be asked just as urgently, because those quiet surrenders accumulate. And one day you'll look up and realize you have been living inside a life shaped by 100 tiny permissions you gave to things that were never qualified to have them. Reclaiming your dominion is not always a dramatic moment. Sometimes it's just a quiet decision. Not today. That doesn't get to move me. I know who I play for. People say, let go and let God. And I used to not fully understand what that meant. But here's what I've come to know. It's about how you feel. It is entirely about how you feel. When you are contracted, when you are in fear, in resentment, in anxiety, in the low frequency of someone else's opinion living rent-free in your mind, you cannot see what is right in front of you. Solutions that are available to you become invisible. Opportunities that are literally in your path, you walk right past them because you're vibrating at a frequency that cannot access them. Ernest Holmes taught that the mind can only attract what it's in harmony with. Not what it wants, what it's in harmony with. So if you're in harmony with the fear of what people think, you will keep attracting experiences that confirm that fear. If you're contracted around money, terrified of it, resentful of it, in a constant state of lack around it, you will keep recreating the experience of lack. Not because the universe is punishing you, but because the law is always working, and it works with whatever you hand it. This is why releasing other people's opinions is not just emotionally healthy, it is metaphysically strategic. Abraham understood this. Florence Scovel Shinn wrote, "No man is your enemy, no man is your friend, every man is your teacher." Every person's opinion you've been carrying, every room that made you feel like you didn't belong, every number that told you a story about your worth, they were all teachers. They were showing you where you had not yet fully claimed your own dominion. The moment you stop giving them power is the moment you become available to everything that was already waiting for you at the frequency of your true self. Let go and let God means release the contraction. Choose the feeling of your power over the feeling of their opinion. And watch what becomes visible that you couldn't see before. Let's get specific today, because this one requires precision. First, what person has the most power over how you feel about yourself? Not who you wish had it, who actually does. Whose voice plays in your head without an invitation? Whose approval are you still quietly seeking? Write their name down and then ask yourself, when did I give them this authority? Was it a moment? A season? Did you give it consciously or did it just accumulate? Second, what thing has dominion over your mood and your decisions? For a lot of people, it's money. The balance goes down and so does everything else. Your confidence, your creativity, your ability to see solutions. For others, it's social media metrics, or the scale, or the title. What is the thing when it shifts you? Name it without judgment. Third, where are you contracted right now? Where are you operating from fear or anxiety or resentment instead of from your power? And what might you be unable to see because of that contraction? This is the let go and let God question. What would open up if you release it, even just a little? Fourth, is there a room you've been performing in? A relationship? An environment? A version of yourself you put on for other people that isn't really you? What would it look like to walk in there in your house glasses? Not to be careless, but to be free. And finally, what gift might be hiding in the hardest thing you've lived through? This one takes courage to answer honestly, but somewhere in your story, there is a place where pain produced power, where difficulty built something in you that ease never could have. Find it, name it, and consider that it might be one of your greatest assets. Here's what I want you to leave with today. You get to decide how you feel. That is not a small statement. That is one of the most radical acts of power available to a human being. Not that you won't feel things. Not that life won't land hard sometimes. But that at the end of the day, no person, no place, no thing gets to be the final word of your worth, your direction, or your peace. Only you get to decide that. Money doesn't get that authority. Other people's opinions don't get that authority. The room you walked into, the table you weren't invited into, the voice that told you that you didn't belong. None of them are qualified to hold dominion over you. You walked in there backed by something bigger than all of it. So show up in your house glasses if that's what's real. Do the work you came to do. Release the contraction and let yourself be available to everything that's been waiting for you at the frequency of your actual power. No person, place, nor thing. I know who I play for. Until the next time, be happy, be healthy, be whole, and most importantly, be rich in love, rich in peace, and rich in purpose. If this message spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, live it, and let's grow together. Head over to happyhealthywholerich.com for more powerful teachings and join the movement. Remember, your breakthrough is waiting, but you have to show up. Until the next time, stay happy, healthy, whole, and rich.